All right, what's going on, guys? It is a sunny one today, also a little bit windy. I got a white car and all the sun is just beaming off of the white car right into my eyes. But going to be doing a little bit of fishing here in the Everglades. That is Tamiami Trail Canal behind me. Tamiami Trail is in front of me, behind you. Anyway, just going to be fishing a little bit today. I'm going to go with a slightly bigger presentation than I normally use here. Going to try to get some peacocks. So this winter, if you're not familiar, we had a couple nice cold fronts come through, and during one of them, at least one of them, we had a pretty good peacock bass kill here in the Everglades. There's some videos online of kind of drone shots going over the Everglades. That's a fly. Drone shots going over the Everglades, and you can see thousands of dead peacock bass in the water. So haven't caught a peacock out of here this year yet. We're going to try to get one, see if at least one peacock survived the cold front kill off we had this winter. So let's give it a shot and let's see what we can get. Alright, so here's the canal we're going to be fishing. I got my 7-foot 1-inch St. Croix Victory rod, medium power, fast action, and what we are going to be throwing around is this little Nico tadpole. So I did say slightly bigger. This isn't a big lure, but it's slightly bigger than like the lures I've used here a couple weeks ago if you watched those videos. So this is a 2.9 inch bait, I believe, but most of that is here in the tail, which is a very small and slim presentation. The body's pretty big and fat, but that's just an extremely small portion of the lure that's that big. But yeah, super stretchy, super durable. Love the Nico line of soft plastics. So let's throw this tadpole around here and let's see what we can get. It is very windy here. Gonna fish this thing close to shore. There's a lot of deep water always here close to shore. There's a nice drop off here. Well, let's swim it back and jig it, and let's see what we can get. Got him. That's not a peacock, but I'll take it. First fish of the day. Alright, so first fish of the day. Not the peacock bass I was hoping for. It's a Mayan cichlid. These guys always put up a good fight, and there's always a ton of them over here. So I've caught more Mayan cichlids than anything else in South Florida over my 4, 5, 6, 7 years of fishing here. And especially in this canal, there's a whole ton of them. Let's keep going. Oh, there's a fish. It's a largemouth. I knew he wasn't hooked well. Knew he wasn't hooked well. That was a largemouth. I didn't really feel the bite, so just as I jigged it up, he got stuck on the hook, but I don't think I ever set the hook well. Alright, it's been a slow day. Only really had those 2 fish bite, the one Mayan, and now this largemouth that I lost. Not much going on here today, which is interesting. But let's keep going. Let's see if we can still save the day. There we go, fish on. It's a little guy. You gotta be kidding me. Alright, the action today is really slow, so I will take anything. Second fish I got my hands on. This is gonna be a little spotted sunfish. And this is by far the smallest fish I've ever caught on this Nico tadpole. So we're going for the larger peacocks, but we're getting all these, not all these other fish, but some of these other fish instead. All right, so according to my camera, I've now been fishing for 54 minutes. And those 2 fish in 54 minutes is a very low number, especially for this area, because I can always do really, really well here. So, when in doubt, whenever I'm having a hard time fishing some larger lures, and I do consider this a larger lure, even though some people might not, it's always nice to size down. So I'm gonna put this thing away. I'm gonna get out a smaller rod, go with a smaller little lure, and we'll see if we can catch some fish on that. All right, so after about a 15-minute break in the car to cool off, I'm busting out my medium light Avidex from St. Croix, 6.6 medium light power instead of medium power like on that last rod. Still fast action. This is a 1/16 ounce jig head with a crappie magnet soft plastic, so smaller presentation. Got a handful of mines on this thing. Can't remember if it was last week that I was here or 2 weeks ago, but we'll see. I usually like throwing smaller presentations to begin with. And especially when I'm not getting bites on the bigger stuff, I like to downsize here. So we'll fish the same spots we fished during the last hour with that Nico tadpole, and we'll see if we can get more fish than just those 2 that I caught within that last hour. Fish. It's a Mayan. Let's get him in here. These guys put up a great fight on this lighter gear. It's a lot more fun fishing this gear when you're catching these Mayans. All right, let's take a look at it. All right, so only about 3 minutes in with the crappie magnet, we got our first Mayan cichlid. So we are way ahead of schedule compared to that Nico tadpole. Let's keep going. Let's see if we can catch some more. That's a fish. It's a little one. Let's see what we got. All right, we got ourselves a bluegill, and if you look at this guy's mouth, this is not a crappie magnet. I broke off my crappie magnet, and when I went to tie another one on, I realized I didn't have any. So this is a Nico caddisfly that we've been throwing around, and I think on only my 2nd or 3rd cast, we got ourselves a bluegill. Alrighty, so we are 34 minutes into fishing these smaller lures, and I got 2 fish to show for it, I think. My memory's right, which is not very good. So at first I thought the problem was the larger lure, and that maybe there's no peacocks in here, partially due to that cold front back in the winter that killed off a good amount of them. But now I'm thinking the problem is that the rainy season here started a little bit earlier. Typically April, May, even beginning of June is really good fishing here, just because the water levels are low. Oh, there's a fish. That was a fish. That was a little guy. Yeah, so like I was saying, typically April, May, beginning of June, fishing here is pretty good because the water levels are low, because it's kind of the end of the dry season here in South Florida. And a lot of the water from some neighboring canals, neighboring swamps and ponds and whatnot gets too low, and the fish can't survive in there, so they get pushed into this deeper, bigger canal. However, the rainy season this year started a little bit early. In early April, we actually had, up in Fort Lauderdale, we had 25 inches of rain in a 24-hour period, which set a new record. And even since then, it still rained pretty heavily over the next, month, 6 weeks or so. So I think that is probably the bigger problem, that the rainy season here just started a little bit earlier, water levels rose, and some of these fish have moved out of here. So we'll keep fishing, maybe another 15-20 minutes. We'll try to get one more fish, but this has been a disappointment of a day. There's a fish. That's a big fish. What is this? Could this be a bowfin? This is a big fish. And on this lighter gear, this is going to be a tough fish to get in. Is that a bowfin? What? Oh, no, it's an Oscar. That is an Oscar. This guy pulled really well, and I saw the darker color, which made me think bowfin, which I would love to catch, but I guess I'll take a nice looking Oscar instead. All right, so here is our first Oscar of the day, another new species, also a cichlid, obviously also not native to the Everglades. I believe these guys are from South America. This thing is a tank. Not only is he big lengthwise, but he was fat and heavy. That was a really cool fish. Would have preferred a bowfin, but I'm not too upset about that one. Oh, there's a fish, little guy, little bluegill. All right, surprised I was able to actually hook up with this guy. He's got a small mouth. It's a small little bluegill. Great little bait size if I was trying to catch that bowfin I was talking about earlier, but I'm not going to be using this guy for bait. Actually, if I was going to probably use bait here, I'd probably try to catch myself a little jewel cichlid or a little juvenile Mayan. But sizing down seems to have paid off. We definitely got more fish here than we have on that Nico tadpole. Let's keep going. Maybe I'll catch one more, maybe we'll wrap it up. I don't know. There's a fish. Not a big one either, but bigger. Maybe like an okay sized Mayan. Oh, there he goes. There, he pulled a little bit. Didn't feel big when he first hit. Yeah, it looks like a Mayan. Let's get him on in here. Alrighty, so it's our third, maybe fourth Mayan cichlid. Not completely sure. I lost track, and it's on the smaller side. So let's get this guy back. We definitely had more action here on the smaller lures, but still not a lot of action. And I think on that note, we are going to do it. Alright guys, so that's going to do it. Can't say I'm too happy with the day, but I also can't really be too disappointed because we did get an okay amount of action. Things could always be worse. So like a lot of times when I'm fishing for larger fish, and larger it's kind of in air quotes because I mean that small tadpole is only 3 inches, but we were going for peacocks, so they were somewhat larger. If I'm not getting something, I usually do like to size down a little bit, and that does seem to help. So I think I fished for 54 minutes or something like that with the tadpole. Only caught 2 fish. When I switched over to this lighter power rod with the smaller lures, whether it was the crappie magnet or this little Nico caddis fly, I did get more bites and we caught more fish. And at the end of the day, that's really all that I'm after, is catching some fish and having some fun. Fishing without catching any fish or catching a small amount of fish isn't that fun. So even the small ones, at least I have fun with them. So I do like to downsize like this if I'm not getting anything on the larger lures. But yeah, unfortunately this spot has not produced really well for me the last 2 times. I think that has a little bit to do with the fish kill we had here in the winter, but it has probably a lot more to do with the water levels being higher. In the summer and in the fall, this spot is not very productive because the water levels are higher and the fish move out. Usually in the spring, which we are still in the spring, fishing here is pretty good because the water levels are lower, but this time of year, we got a lot of rain a little bit earlier than we normally do. So I just think there's less fish in here to catch because they kind of spread out and dispersed over some other bodies of water around here that are a little bit higher than they normally are this time of year. Anyway, enough of me rambling. Hope you like this little video from Tamiami Trail, and I will see you guys next time.